they said that you cannot show my face, a close-up about my face, because it turned out that he's not singing anymore because he's too old. Or the keyboard player, don't show my hand, don't show my hand. It turned out that the keyboard player doesn't play anymore. Yeah.
Allegedly.
And then
Like there's
it's
something fascinating that happens when there's a cultural movement and corporations decide they want a piece of it. You're a wizard of sound. That's
Yeah, I mean, you can say that.
Hello, Ferko.
Hi.
It's always so weird when I'm talking to people that I know and I speak to Hungarian and I'm like, come talk to me in front of a camera in English. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Right, my friend, you are, you go by Ferko, so I'm going to use that.
Yeah,
That's your artistic stage name. And you are a DJ, a musician, an engineer. My friend, please take it away. What many things you do.
Yeah. So yeah, first of all, my name is Ferko, but this is actually my name. So I'm actually Ferko for all my friends and family since I exist.
Right.
So that's why I'm using this name, because it's also quite unique. It's not typical, but it's an existing name. So I just find it funny. In Hungarian, it's actually kind of like a cute, like a old-fashioned way.
Yeah. It's like it's little. It's technically you're Francis, right? In English, I'm pretty sure it's Francis.
Frank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're Frankie. Ferko's basically Frankie.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Something like that. Yeah. Yeah. But this name is used in old folk tales usually. So in real world, it's not used anymore.
So you're telling me you don't use this name in Hungary nowadays?
Not really.
Because we still use it. Like in Transylvania, we still use it.
Mostly just for kids, like maybe because it's,
right,
but it's not really used for everyday. So I don't know.
Because you told me you have relatives from my area, from my neck of the woods, right? You got relatives.
Yeah, I mean, so they are from the other side of, not even from Transylvania actually, but from Bukovina.
Okay, right, but it's still that sort of region. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Because I'm actually surprised you don't use the name of Hungary. Huh.
So
cool.
It exists, everyone knows it, it's just not popular anymore.
Okay.
But interestingly, it's also a Slovakian surname. Yeah, I don't know why.
Here come the Franks. Yeah. Say hello to the Franks, everybody.
Yeah.
Right, well, in that case, I want to find out about you, my friend. So, again, DJ? Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, so DJ is not the first. So
tell me what you do. Tell me what you do.
So I started as a music producer, I would say. More like a musician, just like I was a fan of synthesizers.
Right.
Forever, basically. And that's why I started to play the keyboards, just to be able to make some noises with my...
Do the wedding songs, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, kind of. So at that time, there was not too many possibilities. So yeah, like very early and simple or demo softwares that you cannot even use properly because I couldn't buy them or crack them or whatever. But there was no other options there. Like most of the softwares didn't exist at the time.
Yeah, I mean, this was early days. What are we talking? 90s?
No.
2000s?
Not at all.
I know, right? Like, I don't know how young you started. You might have started in...
It was, let's say, 20 years ago.
20 years ago, okay.
Like, I was a kid, basically. So, yeah. And then, because of that, I, played with my friends. I played in bands, blah, blah, blah. But it wasn't professional. And then I went to Budapest, the big city.
Let's go.
Yeah. And where I studied music production actually at a school, which was like a private school, the first in the country where you could study.
So private school in Hungary means you have to pay for it?
Yeah, exactly. So it's not an actual educational system. Institution. It's a business.
Right.
And you pay for the classes, obviously.
But it's accredited and acknowledged.
No, it's not credited, but it's it's credited by Ableton, which is a company.
Right. Okay.
So
I'm learning.
I'm gonna tell you more about this later, but it's complicated, so I'm not gonna.
All right. Okay.
So more importantly, I finished that course, and then 2 years later, I think it was 2 years. I mean, so those guys, my classmates, they became my friends, my first friends in Budapest, and then we spent lots of time together. And then after some time, they asked me to teach there, so I was teaching music production.
Cool.
Yeah.
So that means you know your shit, sir.
Yeah, I was good at synthesis
Right.
from the beginning because that was my passion. Like as I told you, synthesizers, and
For life.
and I was good at that. So they asked me to teach that, but obviously during those years I picked up any other kind of knowledge as well, like anything related to sound design, mixing, mastering, engineering, like basically anything with audio. But yeah, mostly what I can do is basically working with music and any kind of engineering problem that can be solved, I can solve it. This is my main focus, I would say, in
Right,
sound.
so sound engineering. You'd say and synthesis.
Sound design, sound engineering, yeah.
Okay.
But for example, I wouldn't call myself, let's say, like a decent studio engineer who would record a symphonic orchestra or something like this.
Okay, so you say that your knowledge is more like
About like high tech stuff, audio technologies.
Okay.
Then
Cool.
yeah, so it's more about sound design and making that proper up to date 2022 sound for a song, which could be electronic music, pop music. Yeah, but mostly about these kind of stuff.
Okay. Fair enough. I mean, it's just because this is the stuff I don't have that much knowledge in. Because obviously, I'm more I sort of just steer towards acting and more visual stuff. So sound design is like a whole new word for me.
Yeah.
And I am fascinated and interested by it because like I'm used to watching movies and I know the things that people would do with cameras and the tricks and so I mean I don't know all of them, but I'm familiar with some of the ideas that we did in order to like get a message across. So I'm curious. As you were talking, I was like, yeah, of course it would make sense that you can do crazy stuff to sound in order to get a feeling across or something.
Yeah, exactly.
And
I mean, in this day, basically music is made on a computer, every genre. So eventually, after you record it, you do everything in the computer.
yeah, sooner or later it's gonna end up on a
Yeah, and basically
Someone's
the
MacBook.
softwares you can use today are just so great that they are better than anything ever existed, like in actual physical gear, that are very expensive today, and it's not accessible for many people. But because of these softwares, today anyone can produce very professionally sounding stuff on a laptop.
yeah. I mean,
Theoretically, of course, it
still needs
requires
practice and skill.
yes, but also the how you monitor the sound is also very important. So what kind of speakers you've got, what kind of acoustic environment you are in, these are all very important factors. But theoretically, you can do absolutely professional sounding anything with a laptop. Yes, in this age. So it wasn't possible only 10, 20 years ago. It was not an option
I mean,
for anyone.
yeah, 20 years ago. I mean, where I'm from, laptops weren't that big. I don't know. Can't talk for
I mean,
the
I
US,
remember
but-
10 years ago it was already possible, but we struggled much more with the computational power of the computer. So what you can actually run real time, because so there was much more technical issues with those earlier softwares, but that was already pretty good.
And I mean, yeah, you do.
Since that, it's really with an average computer, you can basically run almost any audio software with no problem. So
yeah, it's interesting that for at least for computers, audio takes up like it's considers it as easier information to work with and to process.
Yeah. Then, for example, visuals, because
I mean visuals.
For that, you need if you want to do it well. I mean, if you want to do something for example, 3D, this kind of stuff, you need a powerful GPU to run
I mean, yeah,
high quality, high resolution.
I know about video stuff because I used to be a gamer, so I'm very much aware of always having the.
Yeah, exactly.
I wish I had a proper CPU and a GPU and what you got now and all that.
Yeah.
Yes, I grew up with that. And as soon as I get my new PC, I'll be able to play, what was it? Assassin's Creed 2, and I was like so excited I can run it and it looks alright. Or GTA 4, that was the last one I played. That was at the limit of my PC when I was growing up. Well, I was already in my high school, but yeah.
Yeah, I also had my period, but I mostly played strategy games like StarCraft and this kind of stuff.
I played StarCraft as well. I also played Warcraft. I didn't play WoW, but I played Warcraft up to like the third one. Anyway, that's my gaming life.
I never played the
MMORPG.
Exactly, I only played the strategy games.
Yeah, I didn't because I got scared that I would get sucked into it and lose my life.
Exactly, I've seen my own friends, they totally disappeared.
And you know what?
Months and months, they just disappeared.
Yeah, and then you come out and you still realize it's an escape, but it's a thing where it can be an addiction and you have to monitor it, and it can be unhealthy unless you're like, this is what you want to do with your life. I recommend everyone caution when approaching games like that.
Yeah. So basically, since I think when these MMORPGs came out, I kind of just stopped playing games because I like gaming before that, especially strategy games. But these basically kind of like virtual realities or almost already early versions of virtual reality, you can argue, you know. For me, it's, I don't know, this is like, it's fun, of course, it's super fun, but come on, like, what would you do with your life? Would you be the biggest, coolest motherfucking barbarian with the best weapons and like super strong and you can jump to 10 meters high, you know, and fight with dragons, which is cool, obviously.
Yeah, it's very cool.
But you cannot have anything, you cannot own things except your weapons. You can walk in the forest and in some nice cities, but you're never gonna have sex with a nice girl, you know. This was my biggest issue with these games, you know, that is it better than life? And then like,
so far we haven't.
It's actually very depressing in a way.
So far, I don't think we've discovered the virtual reality that beats life yet. I don't think. Like there's something to real, like even a real success. It feels fantastic. I'm sorry.
So yeah, I felt that.
But there's a place for it. I'm not gonna talk shit about video games because I use them, and I learned a lot from video games.
Yeah, me too. I
learned how to sort out my finances from playing Rome Total War. You know. It's like, manage your finances, your settlements.
I truly think that the reason why I'm what I am today is because the strategy games I played.
You learn about finances, you know?
Yeah, not like later on, yes, you realize that it was quite useful, yeah. But it's actually useful for many things to organize your life, you know, like just logical thinking and like planning.
It helps. It helps, absolutely.
It definitely improves your brain.
It's a skill that you need to.
But for example, I would also argue that GTA probably not. That doesn't develop your brain that much.
I played GTA for the story, sir. I was given a culture experience, okay?
Yeah.
And I played Call of Duty for the weapons knowledge.
To be honest, I never played GTA.
You've been missing.
I tried, of course, obviously, but I never really played. So.
But yeah, let's get back to you, man, because I can talk for hours about video games. Some of my favorite memories about video games, but So I was curious, something like sound design. So you said you had a love for synthesizers early on, so you kind of discovered that's what you wanted to do. Like, how does someone, how does Ferko? I mean, so I don't know, however old you were, you went, Mom and Dad, this is what I'm gonna do. How does that conversation happen?
They still don't get it. So.
So you either have that conversation or you have that conversation.
No, I don't talk to them about these things anymore.
Okay. You're not gonna understand.
It's the strategy. Yeah. I just don't, and that's all. They don't get it. They never will. That's all. But so in the early stages, it wasn't obvious actually what I wanna do. I mean, it's still not so. It's basically a never-ending journey. You know what you wanna do with your life. But
Yeah, I still get the phone calls. It's not too late to go to university, Sylas.
But I actually started to work at the TV.
Right.
When I was 20, 21, something like this. That was my first like normal job, basically.
Yeah.
And I was lucky because there was a local TV and they needed people and they wanted to hire young people and they wanted to train them. And I was just there with a fresh paper that I'm a TV person. So I had some papers that I studied it, even though obviously I didn't know anything about anything. But I learned it. I became a cameraman, editor.
Right, okay.
So I worked there for a year or around that. I'm not exactly sure anymore. But then I ended up in another company because 2008 came, the big crash.
Yes.
And there was no jobs at all, especially in these very special industries.
Yeah, specialized
and we are talking about a town somewhere in the middle of nowhere, so there was no jobs at all. So I had to decide if I want to work at my parents' farm, because that's what they are doing.
Yeah,
they are farmers, or I just leave and just see what's happening, what's out there. So I left, and then eventually I got an opportunity by my sister, actually. I mean, she knew this guy, and he needed a cameraman, an editor, and but they were actually doing event technology, so it was more about doing stuff for events and building stuff. So we built visual event technology. So basically, it's LED walls.
Right.
Like, those giant.
Oh, okay. So
behind
the backdrop, the cool.
So these you only see this on big stages because it requires a certain size. So we did events, like festivals and.
I've seen something like that. I'm not sure if this is the same thing, but it's like multiple LED panels and it's slightly curved. The one I saw was slightly curved and it's set up.
I'm pretty sure there is curved version as well. Yeah, we didn't have curved version, but. So basically, we built LED walls for these big stages for thousands of people because it only makes sense in this size.
So I'm pretty sure you went to the Siget Festival.
And at that time, it was new in the country that this company specialized for visuals, but especially in the event technology industry. So it was a unique approach by this guy. So he was actually pretty, he definitely taught me a lot about life.
Okay.
It wasn't he was not. It was complicated with him.
Listen, I'm not trying to get you into any trouble. Just so you know.
No.
You can say I cannot confirm or deny.
We are in a good relationship. No, we just we
It's
are talking about people who are smart and hardworking, but not necessarily emotionally.
Quite.
They just don't give a fuck about these things, basically.
They might not be great communicators or things like that.
Yeah. Let's say something.
They can
like
be quite blunt and.
So it was complicated in the beginning. Basically, I was absolutely not ready for this. But then I learned everything, and then they. So they hired me, and then I left the company, but I worked with them till I came to Scotland almost. So we worked together for many years, but it became one of my side job. Just
setting up.
But also we did loads of. So usually the event looked like we built an LED wall, and then cameras around the stage, and then I was usually one of the cameramen. During the event, and then we project the stuff that's happening on the stage onto the LED wall.
Okay, that makes sense.
Either behind the artist or next to the stage. It could be multiple walls.
Yeah, the classics.
Yeah.
So I've seen that. I'm familiar. I've been to a couple of concerts. I'm familiar with that.
So these are especially for those very big concerts where you are very far and you wouldn't be able to see.
So you can see what's happening.
So this was our service. This is what we did.
All right.
So I became...
That's pretty cool, actually. You must have met some interesting people.
Man, I
Some
worked
stars.
with everyone. I worked with everyone in Hungary.
Have you been to Sziget?
Yeah, I worked in Sziget as well.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh my god, I want to go to the festival
Man,
so bad.
I worked with all the big stars, and I toured with Omega, and like.
Did you? Oh, come
those are
on.
assholes. Yeah.
You heard it here.
No, they are not nice people. They are really not nice people.
Allegedly.
Like they were one of the reasons, for example, why I decided to not focus on this in my life, because I just knew that I don't want to be like in this situation right now.
Divas is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Because they were assholes, man. These people were absolute cocky bastards. They really didn't give a fuck about anyone around them. They didn't understand that it's not only them why this whole event exists. It's a whole team of people. Like, it can be even hundreds of people when we are talking about a big festival.
Oh yeah.
And these people were
just so you're aware, like
they were very old, like funny, they were like a joke, literally. They couldn't play their instruments anymore, sing, whatever. But because they were legends and still are basically at least the living members.
They get away with being cheeky.
Yeah, and everywhere they played, there was thousands of people, and everyone celebrated them, and everyone basically just told them how fucking amazing they are. But they were very bad, and I was a musician, so I heard how bad they are, and I also heard all the things behind
Allegedly.
the stage. So, like, for example, they said that you cannot show my face, a close-up about my face, because it turned out that he's not singing anymore because he's too old. Or the keyboard player, don't show my hand. It turned out that the keyboard player doesn't play anymore. Yeah.
Allegedly.
Yeah. So they don't even play anymore. It's total playback. Like everything was total bullshit, and people celebrated a bunch of old jerks on the stage, basically. And I just decided not to do it anymore. So that was one of the reasons why I stopped.
You think that when you've been a star long enough, you understand some of the luck that comes with it. You have a bit more wisdom and a bit more humility about it, and you're grateful that people still care about what you do. Unfortunately, that's not always the case. Sometimes people think they're that special. And
for example, I tell you this story. This was amazing.
I'm getting juicy gossip today.
These dudes, after one of the events,
Let's not say names because I'm not getting sued. All of this is alleged.
This is absolutely... I'm not saying anything that is not public information.
Okay, if it's public information...
So these are the members of the famous Omega band.
Public information.
Very famous in Eastern Europe, not only in Hungary, but everywhere in Eastern Europe, because they were big in socialist times. And
because for people that don't know, like, rock bands used to go to prison during communism. Like, it was a completely illegal thing.
No. So not exactly.
I don't know, but like...
Have you ever heard about the free tea?
The what?
Free tea.
No.
Okay, we can talk about it later. It's a political thing in Hungarian culture or politics during socialist time.
It was like they would let some people get away with some stuff to keep...
TTT means tilt, tűrt, támogatott. It means there was three categories. Tiltot means banned. Tűrt means
tolerated,
and támogatott means supported. And basically this was the free tea, the rule of the free tea, and these rock bands who were popular, they were either supported or tolerated.
Yeah.
Because there was lots of punks, for example, who were absolutely banned.
So communists realized that the public needs, and especially the youth, needs some sort of outlet.
Yeah.
But they didn't want the outlet to get so far that it turns against them. So they tried to sort of
get
with the times of monitoring.
But it also created actually a very like a soft version of Western rock and roll. Because,
it had to be very polite. It wasn't...
Yeah. So this music, what they play, the Omega, it seems like it's about something, because at that time, they were the rock and roll locally. So for the people, it was really important. Yeah. But if you listen to the lyrics and you
How You Line was good.
And if you listen to the stuffs they were inspired by, which came from the Western world, it's not too great. It's great, they copied it in a very professional way, yes.
The lyrical content could not always
so much
live
more
up
empty, so much more empty.
Like,
But you're never gonna be able to explain it to my parents' generation.
like
who grew
petrol
up on this.
lamp.
Yeah. And for them, this is extremely important. These are very important cultural experiences.
It's a phenomenon, cultural titans.
They heard these songs in the radio forever since they exist.
The reason I was talking about the police, sort of people going to prison and stuff, is because I was having this chat with a metalhead back home, and he's in his 50s now, so he grew up during 80s, 90s, and he basically got stopped by police. He was wearing an Iron Maiden sort of vest, and he got stopped by police, obviously, and he got told, the vest has to go, and he had long hair, and the police officer was like, don't let me catch you with that long hair again. Like, they would literally police the length of your hair, because they were like, okay, you're trouble because you're part of this rock and roll Western music, capitalist scum, don't you dare. So it's rock music and metal music in Eastern Europe has a very interesting and complicated history. There were snitches. There was, like, obviously you had the rock opera István a Király, Stephen the King, which is an interesting.
I've just seen actually a story about it just recently.
Right.
How it was actually supported and why it was supported by.
But it was written in a way that could be interpreted in many different ways.
Exactly, obviously.
Because like us watching it, we're watching like technically the bad guy in the film would be Koppány, who wants to stay free and he wants to be independent and he doesn't want to give in to this new political movement, which would be Christianity at that time.
But he also represented the rock and roll.
He also represented rock and roll. Yes, it was kind of made like he's a rebellious, but he's actually at the end of the day he's wrong-headed. He's not thinking this clearly.
Yeah, but you can argue that he was actually the good guy in the story.
Yeah, so the way they wrote it, the artist of the day kind of left it up to you to interpret.
Because he represents kind of like the common folk.
Yeah, he does.
Say. And then the
and Saint Stephen, who's the king. For those who don't know, Saint Stephen was the first Christian king of Hungary in 1000 AD. He made the big switch from paganism, Hungarian paganism, to Christianity as a survival thing, and he got.
I mean, in reality, it was probably a forced process.
Well, he saved the kingdom because otherwise it would have been probably invaded.
No, it's never been a kingdom before that. He created a kingdom.
Yeah.
I mean, he created so there was a state before. The Hungarian state at the same place, the Avar Khaganate, but it wasn't Christian.
Yeah, so that was the thing. That it was a political strategy to basically ensure that the kingdom's not going to be taken over by.
Yeah, it was accepted by the Pope and all the Franks and
the other empires would leave it be and wouldn't be like, who's this pagan?
And for exchange, he was raised as a Christian and he forced the religion on the people. Basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like how Christianity spread around with violence.
Yeah, but this was a very interesting metaphor that they used for communism, and then depending on which side you were on, you could read into the story what you wanted. So that was a very ingenious way of getting a bit more of a rebellious message into the public eye. But you had a story about this you were going to tell me about. It was supported, and you wanted to tell me a story about, oh my God, so come on, give me the juicy gossip.
Yeah. Oh,
we took a little tangent there.
So there was this event.
Right. Allegedly.
Usual stuff, thousands of people, blah, 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 Okay. So obviously when the band stops playing, everyone celebrates them and then that's their job. They finish. Yeah, but we still need to obviously take everything apart and put it back to the vans and not like the cars and stuff. So we are working until 6 in the morning, whatever,
Right, okay.
And around when we finished, so it was already almost morning, I remember, or not morning, but like middle of the night. I don't exactly remember, but like let's say 3-4 o'clock at least. We finished, but there was still one tent staying, and like everyone was asking, what about that one tent? Oh no, the 2 members of Omega is still inside. They are still boozing. Like how?
Oh, they're boozing. Okay.
Yeah. But we are talking about like 80 years old papas, yeah.
Okay. Hey, listen, you do you at 80.
And then basically around that moment, they came out from the tent totally drunk, like they couldn't walk, and they got a ride. A lift back to Budapest after that by someone or something like this, I don't know. But then we went home, and next day I heard it in the TV, in the not in the TV, but in the media. Everyone was talking about it. It was the new stuff that the two members of Omega, these two guys, were beaten by a taxi driver.
Oh no! Oh
Yeah.
Bless.
So I was like,
so they. So we don't know what happened. This is
no, we know. I know what happened.
Oh, allegedly.
Yeah. So this is the funny thing. Obviously, it's not mentioned in any articles, but
they pissed off the taxi driver. Is that what
I
you're saying?
quickly tried to find an article about this story. You know, so I found one, and in the article it says that the taxi driver was aggressive and blah blah blah. Obviously, the members of Omega were the innocent victims. Obviously,
two drunk 80-year-olds.
But there is one sentence in the article by the taxi driver that but they were intoxicated like hell, you know, and I couldn't. I just didn't want them into the car. Didn't want to let them into the car. Obviously, like you would do, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
he just did his job.
You pick your customers, yeah.
But they didn't want to accept it. They wanted him to take them. So they were the ones who were actually initiating the whole aggression.
Allegedly.
They were totally drunk. I seen it with my own eyes, man. Like they couldn't walk.
I believe in that. Fair
enough. And the taxi driver was just doing his job, probably.
Potentially.
But because of this whole story, it was actually him who suffered, and not the two guys who were so drunk they couldn't speak, barely could speak, man. So it was completely obvious that basically they destroyed the reputation of this taxi driver like this just because it was comfortable for them, you know. It was so disgusting. And this was that moment when I realized that, okay, I don't want to work with these people anymore, and I don't want to do this job and serve the interest of these kind of people. It's just disgusting. Like these are the bottom of the society, you know. And these are the most famous members of our society. So
well, that's an interesting conversation you can have about what happens to someone when they work really hard to get to somewhere, and then they either get they either get too comfortable, so that can happen. There's a couple of things that can happen to you when you're at the top. You get too comfortable, complacent, or you can start believing your own hype and believe you're above everybody else.
Yeah,
that's another pitfall that you can
imagine, man.
End up in.
You are 80 years old, and basically
you live the rock and roll life.
23, you are a superstar.
Yeah,
and you never even experienced anything else. You always been a superstar for everyone, and everyone knows your name. Literally everyone.
And everyone loves you.
Everyone loves you because you are so amazing.
But not everyone, but a lot of people. You can say maybe even the majority of people.
I mean, I think this band is popular I think there is no person who would, let's say, hate them, who would have negative.
I mean, well, you actively said you're not a big fan right now.
But the only reason is because I actually
work with
them.
Yeah.
And it's more about it's not a hatred, but it's a professional
dislike.
Yes, because they
like
don't deserve to be liked, especially professionally. They are not good at all. I think their music is not good at all. They don't have good music, in my opinion.
Allegedly.
So everyone can but I don't agree. I don't think they deserve where they are at all. They are not good. Like there are much better bands in Hungarian history, way much better than these piece of fucking bastards, because they are just bastards. Like these people, they have the mentality of a 15 years old, but they are 80.
Yeah, they're basically, I mean, so they're potentially the Ric Flair of Hungary. You could put it that way.
Yeah,
it's still very much rock and roll.
They wanted to be the Hungarian Pink Floyd, I think.
Well, I'm not sure if they managed.
Their music is definitely sounds like Dark Side of the Moon kind of stuff, like their music from the 70s.
Anyway, right? Okay, I just found out something I was not ready for, but great.
Yeah.
Juicy gossip. That's what I'm here for. I was gonna ask. I wanted to find out about you as well, man. So. You fell in love with, just creating music and sounds and stuff. I am curious. I never actually got to ask, what else do you do? Like, because you said DJ is the last thing you do. So you do, obviously, we just talked about the setup, the visual things, right?
Yeah, so because
sound
of the
design.
visuals.
Do you do something else as well? artistically speaking?
I mean, what is art? Like, it's hard to decide where it starts and where it ends. But so because of my visual experiences, so there was a time in Budapest after I didn't want to do this event technology stuffs anymore.
Yeah.
I decided to focus on music production, and I wanted to be a full-time musician. And I started to also teach at the school. So all these things happened parallel throughout the years. And basically I succeeded after some years of hard work. So I was an underground music producer in Budapest, worked with everyone, teaching at the school, doing music for others sometimes, or mixing songs, mastering songs. And also there was some other unique or like occasional events and projects I worked in. So it was fun. It was very, very exciting. Every day was completely different. So it was nice.
Okay. And how did you...
I wasn't really ready for that, to be honest. I think, being an artist, because I just, so my confidence wasn't there, I think, at that time.
Yeah, there's a whole conversation to be had about loving arts, but then pursuing it professionally takes a bit of more, not even courage, but just realizing that
your
it's possible.
ego needs to be ready for that.
Yeah, it's a style of life that you need to be mentally prepared for.
And I was not ready at all. But on the other hand, also financially it was very, very struggling, because sometimes I had money, sometimes I didn't, and I couldn't really fucking stabilize this whole situation. Even though I was so busy, I never worked more than at that time.
Yeah.
I worked every day, all day long, all the time. Literally, I spent all my time just working on something. I was always thinking about it. I really enjoyed it, so I'm not complaining. It was really good. But it was very bad that I barely could pay my rent sometimes, or couldn't afford a beer with a friend, and everyone else could because they had a normal job, whatever,
I said that's priorities, but and it can be difficult.
I've seen my friends who were like successful artists, and what they achieved, and where is the top, and how to achieve that, and like what money you can make, and like what I should do, and how it works. And I realized that I don't really see that amount of money I'm dreaming about anywhere, except my pop star friends who are, actually playing for 10,000 people. But that's a different story.
I mean, obviously, but to make money, you're gonna need an audience.
Yeah, of course. But still, I knew exactly that with my music, I'm never gonna make that audience. Obviously.
Well, not back home, at least.
Anywhere else, it's like you don't have to, but if you decide to do something niche or not for everyone, then you need to realize that yes, it's not gonna be for everyone. It's gonna be liked by some people, and it's not gonna be liked by some other people. But it's okay.
At the end of the day, you're doing it because it pleases you.
So it was a growing up process, basically realizing that yes, probably I'm never gonna be able to make enough money, the amount I want, and also the political situation was not too great. This whole that exists in Hungary right now is just started at that, or like not started. It was already like in the middle, like. But yeah, so it was still newer than today, I would say, and I didn't know what the future brings, and I didn't like this. Everything was very uncertain, and I really didn't like what I see in the society because of the political situation. Everything was way too political. Everything was so political, and these whole fake arguments about what is real culture and not real culture, and your identity, nationality, whatever. It's like, these are these are so stupid arguments. I really don't want to participate in this.
Yeah, fair enough. And so is that what led you on to move into the UK?
Yeah. So I met.
It just kind of naturally follows. I wanted to ask that question.
Yes, basically yes. So I met my ex-girlfriend, and she lived here, and I moved. Bam.
Right,
so this is how it happened. It was a big adventure, basically, and it's still happening.
Yeah, it's an ongoing thing. Yeah, so how that automatically one question out of the way. Let's get into the other one, which is, you know, how you been finding the UK in your field in sound design in the arts. How has it been happening for you?
So I think I'm starting to find my place here right now. So I'm definitely in a good position, I think, right now to build something that will last. It was in the first year. It was about surviving, basically.
Yeah.
And then the second year, I started the uni. Moved to Glasgow because I actually came to Edinburgh originally.
Yeah. I remember that we had this conversation before, but go ahead.
Yeah, and then I met my first friends at the uni, and then since that it's just expanding. And then COVID came, so everything actually slowed down my progress in Scotland. Yeah. But I've been here for 4 years now, so that's not too long. It's quite a short time.
Oh wow, okay. You're actually doing quite well. I mean, I've seen some of your projects and the things you've been involved in. And
yeah, that's what I'm saying. That I don't have any reason to complain. Well. Yeah. So I'm not where I want to be, but it's more about, you know, just want to create a more stable financial situation, blah blah blah, and you know, start to build my life in a way that I want to build it. But it's happening slowly, you know.
So,
but artistically or professionally, I met lots of people already. I think we are doing also events with Half Past Now.
Yes, Half Past Now is the project that you're involved with.
Yeah, with a bunch of people. Yeah, so Eugene is one of the main characters, and then the Lithuanian crew. I don't know if you know them.
I don't think I've met them. I've met, because I'm going to speak to one of the other guys. I know his Instagram. The other Hungarian DJ that was there with you on that night, Flying Duck.
Peter.
Yes, Peter, yes.
Yeah.
So I'm going to meet with him actually later on today.
Nice.
So I know a couple of people, and obviously Eugene, I've seen him around and I've met him as your friend.
Yeah.
So it's kind of an Eastern European collective that's gotten together, representing the electronic side of things.
Yes, so we just wanted to make parties in the beginning, but also Eugene is a DJ who's been a DJ forever and a musician and a producer and whatever, and he's made parties at home as well in Ukraine. So he's pretty good with people and organizing, making everything happen. Yeah. So
he's funny because I've met him. When he starts talking, you just can't help but sit down and just like, let me hear this guy out, because he goes off and it's like
absolutely
it's like you're part of this experience. The Eugene, he gets passionate and he just goes off.
You cannot avoid to listen. And. Yeah, so basically it's a bunch of people, mostly from Eastern Europe originally, but now it's very mixed. So we have all kind of members and followers or community members, or I don't know how to call us.
Yeah, it's a growing. Yeah,
but it's more and more people, and it's pretty good. It became some kind of place where just there is no judgment and everyone is whatever they want to be, and but without we actually trying to do this, you know, because many of these things I noticed that this inclusion, whatever, this is those buzzwords right now.
They can be forced. They can be like
equality as well.
Thing is, like big corporations,
equal opportunities or whatever, something like this. So these are the things that are the buzzwords, and here in Scotland they definitely want to improve it and encourage this, and we just achieved it without even trying, because it's a bunch of immigrants, and many of us also represent other kind of minorities, sexual, racial, whatever. So it's a bunch of people, completely different people, and without even we just made a party, you know, and then
there's something fascinating that happens when there's a cultural movement and corporations decide they want a piece of it. You know, there's something very intriguing that happens when big money decides we're gonna get behind this cultural movement, and then you start seeing some
exactly. You can see it everywhere. You know that banks are advertising themselves with gay flag and like these typical examples that is so
they're using a movement
proper capitalist. Like I don't like it, but I understand. Obviously, it works. But
it's one of those things that, like, again, when corporations jump on a trend, that's where you need to keep your eyes open because shit's about to go down.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, so you've basically been finding the UK it's been opening up to you quite well. I think you've been making progress left and right from what I've seen.
Yeah. So currently, I'm also doing VJing because during COVID I started to do programming. I started to build my own like visual devices.
Yeah, tell me about this because this is a very interesting thing that you've been doing. I've seen some of it live.
Yeah. So I cannot really tell you why I started to do this exactly. Though I didn't know where I'm gonna go or what I'm gonna do exactly when I started. But basically, I wanted to learn programming. That was something I knew. And then during the uni, we started learning some stuff, but it just ended because of COVID. So we actually never finished any of the classes. So our uni was completely destroyed. But we had lots of time, like way too much. So I spent lots of time with learning stuff that I do anyway. I really like to learn. This is my passion. I would
This
say.
is part of me doing the interview. It's just me learning about different people and finding about different facets of the industry and life.
I'm a very similar person, I think, because I'm also just consuming information and I'm very interested in everything all the time. So programming was something that I knew that I just want to understand more about it. But I also understand that it's too complex to just, it's something that you really need to put some effort in it.
Yeah, it's not something that you watch 2 YouTube videos and you go and understand.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I did it. I went through the early suffering part, and then now I'm able to build actual softwares that are working and creating some real-time visuals, like reacting for audio, and you can launch it in Ableton. I didn't tell you what is Ableton actually. Ableton is a digital audio workstation,
right?
What you can use to make music.
Okay.
But also for any other audio production stuff.
Oh, is that what DAW means? Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I do voice acting, right? And sometimes they'll ask, what do you use? What's your kit? What's your microphone, your home studio setup, and what's your DAW? And I was like, what is a DAW?
This is it. So Ableton is a DAW.
Right, digital audio workstation.
Cubase or Logic.
Audacity.
These are all.
Does that count as a DAW?
Yes.
All right. Okay. I know something. Yes.
Yeah, but for example, Premiere Pro is not a DAW.
No, because
that's a video software.
Yes, that's specifically visual. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's a video editor software.
All right, okay. I'm not completely lost. There's still hope for me.
Yeah. You're gonna make it. You're gonna survive this existence. So basically, I really wanted to create devices for Ableton because I've been using Ableton forever, and I've been teaching Ableton, and I like Ableton, and I think they do an amazing job, and I like the company as well, and actually where I finished at the school where I was teaching later, in Hungary, so they are an Ableton certificate training center. So it means that if I get my degree, it means that one of the guys who funded the school, he was an Ableton certificate trainer.
Right. Okay. So now Ableton makes sense. So they basically acknowledge by this software company that what they're doing is up to their standards.
Exactly.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Again, learning. I did not know that's a thing. Right. Okay.
So because I was learning by this guy, I assume that what I can teach is actually resonate or in harmony with how the Ableton guys would do it, how they would approach the software and sound design and synthesis and all those things that we teach.
Oh, this is interesting because this is a lot like martial arts, where there's like the Gracie start a thing, and then you learn from this Gracie, and then you can say you start your own school and say, yes, I have a certificate from that Gracie over there, and everyone's got like their own sensei and stuff.
I don't have my certificate, unfortunately, because it also costs a lot of money, so you need to be ready for that. And also it requires a lot of learning, and you need to prepare for this. It's an exam. You pay a lot of money and you need to do some exams.
Wow. So the sound world is set up a bit differently. Huh. Interesting.
I don't know.
I mean, there's still schools out teaching it, and probably
it's not only in the sound world. It's more about a specific. Usually, when it's around some technology, for example, it also exists, as far as I know, with other softwares. For example, I do MaxMSP, what I'm using for my visual journey,
right,
for building my softwares, and MaxMSP is developed by Cycling 74, which is a company,
right,
and they also have
MaxMSP, right, okay.
They also have their own people who are the official developers, but they also quite often just random guys from the community who grow up for this role. Basically, they learn enough to they develop. They add so much value to the project that basically they became in the inner circle by their knowledge, by their merit, basically. And they can then start to produce educational content, and it will be approved by the company and stuff. Yeah. It exists in many of these software communities. It's very common. And since I'm doing this whole programming thingy, I'm starting to realize that actually there is this virtual world, especially in developer communities, where there are so many communities and so many people who just want to do stuff and interesting stuff, and everything's open source, so you can actually find lots of very cool stuff that you can implement in your softwares, and you just need to learn how to put it together. But most of the things are actually already out there, and just you need to need to ask the right questions in the right forums, and you can. This is what programming is in reality. So it's also about trying to get into these communities and meet those people and make some friendships.
So this is where we start talking like the crypto community. There's like very much the programmers, the rebels, they're like the virtual desperados.
Yeah. So this also actually brought me closer to that community, because they are also originally they were also all developers and geeks, and still are.
It's so the virtual Wild West out there.
Yeah, absolutely. This is actually how they call themselves sometimes. The crypto people. They say that this is the Wild West of finance or something like this.
Huh.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty cool. I think in the Wild West, there's a lot of interesting things that happen. There's a lot of opportunity.
It makes sense.
There's some madness too. It's not all great, but
it's massively under-regulated or not regulated at all. Obviously.
But for those looking for an adventure,
because it's just a bunch of open source software, it's a bunch of open source code, so anyone can add to it. So anyone can access this knowledge and just add to it. And people do it,
Yeah.
When it's available, someone will use it in some way. And that's why it's growing so rapidly. And that's why also I think many software companies decided to have a model where you can download the software for free or for very cheap or on subscription based. So it's basically available for anyone. It's not about money. But you still support the cause, and it's more important to suck in people than to make money, basically, because the community is the value in the whole thing, because they will then sustain the project.
I'm entering a world of hackers and programmers. This is
it's not really about that. It's
I know it is. It's a bit less boring than that, let's say. It's not that exciting. It's not The Matrix, but it's as close as you can get to it in real life. I am curious. I wanted to talk about your process a little bit, if that's okay. Since you're a musician, my friend, right? I've seen you perform. I'm curious about what happens. Like, how does a piece of music, like, do you get an idea and then do you develop on it? Do you have Do you have to sit down and regularly make yourself come up with stuff? Like, how do you go about creating a piece of music, sir?
I mean, so obviously it's always different. So there's no like one recipe that I can just follow and then everything will just happen. Like right now, for example, I'm working on a remix for a band that my friends back home, and there is vocals in that song.
Apologies, need to get a proper night's sleep at some point.
And there are vocals in this song. So in that case, I knew exactly that I want to build the whole thing around the vocals, but also completely change the mood than the original. So I just wanted to basically just get those vocals and just do anything I want with them, just crazy sound design ideas. And I created some weird things and put them together, and now it's a nice like housey thingy. I like it.
Do you think in sounds? I mean, I'm guessing you would.
Huh?
I happen to think in jokes and stories. Do you think specifically in sound? Like, do you hear something like, oh, that could be an interesting.
Yeah.
That makes me feel something. I could do something.
Very
with
often,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And there is always rhythm in my head, for example, all the time. Like, I don't know. There's always, I always feel that I'm in a rhythm when, I don't know, just everything has a rhythm somehow. As I'm walking, as I'm doing something, there is a nice groove that fits to it.
You're thinking
I just hear it in my head. Yeah. Sometimes I make noises with my mouth when I forget about it. Or I'm drumming on surfaces. That's also very common.
Do you just walk around going, like, today
yeah.
I'm walking on rock and roll. Today I'm a bit more techno.
Yeah, no, it's not about music genres. It's just
just the beat specifically.
Yeah, it's always different, but it's kind of, there is some kind of vibes that are me, I guess.
Like
it just feels natural to make that kind of stuff.
It is fascinating that patterns, specifically, like something like a beat, so just the frequency of a sound can have a meaning, like an emotional value to us.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
The classic being obviously the jazz, like that.
Yeah.
Also, there's not just the rhythm; it's also the sound specifically, or the pitch. But yeah, the rhythm itself lends itself to an interpretation, an emotional interpretation.
Yeah, exactly. So this was for me a big realization. During the years, that basically sound design and composition and mixing is basically the same thing, or like they are all connected. So if you make the right decisions, then you already solved 90% of your mixing and sound design problems, and also like basically as a songwriter you also accomplished what you wanted to do. So basically if you...
I'm curious if you can elaborate on this, please.
Yeah. So let's say if you want to create a string accompaniment, like in English. Accompaniment, yeah. By a string quartet, which is like a very typical thing, like you want to use them to play in the background. Then what you would do, obviously, the best way to do is find a violin. So I know it sounds obvious, but for example, if you want to make a melody, then the best way to approach it is how we hear, how our body works, our ears, our brain, the physical reality, the rules of physics, basically. How sound spreads and how we actually hear it, and which frequencies we hear and which frequencies we sensitive to and not too sensitive to, because there are also things we hear, but we don't actually hear it differently. So it depends on the frequency. So for example, if you want to create a melody, you need to know that human hearing is the most sensitive for around between 500 and 5,000, something like this,
hertz. Hertz, okay, no.
And this means, and it's the reason of it is because the human voice is in this range.
Right. Okay.
So when you speak to me, I can distinguish different letters and sounds. So that's speech. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually a very complex thing to do. It's extremely complex what you hear and what you create with your mouth. But if you do it, if you would, let's say you are able to do it, let's say 4 octaves lower, so it would be a very low frequency. I wouldn't hear it because my ears cannot hear that frequency anymore. I might hear some very low mumbling, but I
wouldn't be able to make out the words.
Yeah. So, for example, if you let's say play a note around 1000 hertz, and then you play, let's say this is a C, and then you play a D, which is 1 note higher. Yeah. You would hear the difference. Anyone would hear the difference. You don't need to be a musician to hear the difference. But if you do it around 10,000 hertz, it would just sound like something like a very high pitched noise, like this, something like this. And if you just play play a C and a D, you would not hear any difference between the two, because we actually hear.
Becomes blurry, you're saying.
Yeah. So this is parabolic, I think, or no, maybe exponential. Yeah. So you hear quite drastic differences. So here most of the details within this range, which is 500, 5,000, around that. Below that, those are the bass sounds. Below 100 hertz, those are the sub-bass sounds. And those are very low, so you don't really hear the pitch anymore. So the actual note, which note you play, but you hear this brutal bass. But it's also a physical phenomenon.
Yeah.
Because you can only hear that bass if you have a certain speaker that can create that frequency. So you need to resonate the air, which is the transition material or something like this. You know, that transfer the waves. Basically.
Yeah.
You need to make them resonate, so you need to build a proper device for that, which is like it needs to be a certain kind of speaker, so it needs to actually reach a certain size even to be able to create that big waves. Because when we are talking about, let's say, 40 hertz, you can still hear it, although you barely hear anything. Well, if you can actually create that waves in a big decibel, so it's like a relatively big loudness, then you would hear those massive bass lines, like very, very deep sounds. You wouldn't be able to hear a pitch of it maybe anymore, but you would hear. But this is something that in music production, for example, extremely important, those frequencies, or how
I'm getting a biology physics lesson as well as, I mean, yeah, music's a lot of it is physics of sound, right?
Exactly, yeah. So basically, when it comes to sound design and composition and mixing, if you, let's say, want to write a melody, so you choose the right instrument for that, which can be a trumpet or a saxophone, because those instruments were designed to have to like their sound is in the similar range than human voice. Especially saxophone is like almost the same, and that's why we like it so much, because it's actually very similar to human voice.
Yeah, that's true.
And you can also play with the pitch similar to a human voice. Yeah. So it's actually one of the reasons. And trumpet is also a similar instrument, and violin, and there are some other instruments, but there are also other instruments that are in different ranges, like let's say piccolo, which is similar to flute, but it's very high.
Yeah.
It's like a sopran flute, kind of.
Yeah.
And you would not choose that to play the main melody, but it's a very good extra layer, for example. Or if you want to create something, something that fits to that emotion, then you can use these instruments for certain things. Or if you want to create a bass role in your music, which is important in composition, obviously, then you would just use a tuba. I just told you an example, which is a brass instrument, but the bass brass instrument.
So what you're telling me is
and
that
then if you just make the right decisions, then you basically already solved most of your problems. So
I was gonna say, like, all of these calculations are something you have to have in mind when sitting down to, I'm gonna create a piece of music. All of it. Damn, music is hard.
I mean, it's a complex process to.
But then some of it we do it instinctively as well. I'm guessing, because I know musicians that would not necessarily be able to, read sheet music, but they'll be like, yeah, but I know what I would like this instrument here because it sounds nice. Or I would like that instrument there. We might not be able to break it down as technically as you just have.
Yeah, but you're gonna end up having lots of issues if you don't think about these things eventually. So, for example, what I mean by this is, yes, you might be an amazing guitar player, and you can play really cool stuff, and you have some crazy pedals with lots of like amazing effects and stuff. And they sound amazing when you play them by themselves. But then you play, let's say, 3-4 different kind of things with each other. So they all, in your head, they all oh yes, this is good. Anyway, sorry. So they all belong together in one song, let's say, because you said it, because you are the creator. But in reality, from a mixing perspective, let's say they are in a similar frequency range. They are actually covering each other. So let's say if you have a melody, let's say, and in the same height, you have another melody, which is almost the same, but in the same frequency range. Yeah. And if you play them together, they cover each other. You don't want to use the same kind of role in the same song, because you already have something for that role,
Okay.
So let's say you want to have a bass instrument. You don't need two. This is the idea, basically. So if you want to make a good bass line, you should play deep. Like you should play somewhere between the first octave and the second, or like the 0 and the second, or something like this. It depends on what you want to create exactly. But this is the idea. Because especially in electronic music, people tend to overcomplicate this whole mixing sound design thing, that they use all those effects and all those softwares you have, but in reality you actually don't need most of those things in most of the times, because if you create that sound and that instrument for that role, which is, let's say, playing the melody in the middle, then it's gonna be fine, and you barely need to put any kind of effects, or like not effects, but like you barely need any serious post-processing, as we say, or like dynamic processing and like all these things. If it's already working.
I mean, I'm kind of like just taken aback by a lot of this, because a lot of it is new for me. But it's just just hearing how somebody thinks about music and the kind of decisions you have to make going into creating a piece of art. It's just kind of like, that's a lot.
Yeah.
A lot to be aware of.
It's very technical, because if you are a music producer, you are an engineer, you are a composer, you are everyone. You are everyone in one person.
Biologist and a physicist, apparently, as well.
What I cannot do, I'm never going to be the one of those singers on the stage who can, sell the track basically, or give that one extra layer that makes it potentially popular among people, the human factor basically.
So you're saying is you're not going to be drunk in a tent at 6 a.m. fighting at a taxi driver?
No chance, no. or I'm never going to play certain instruments, but I can be the person who records those instruments and put them in the right place, in the right way. So this is why I'm saying that being a music producer is like, for me at least, is more about the whole music and
the whole piece together.
And
how it comes together.
And that's why for me it's never been about my own ego. That I always felt that I want to express something, of course, because I wouldn't create otherwise. But when it came to that point, when I need to show my face and then, let's make photo shootings and like being cool and shit, I'm like, I just want to make music, So I realized that maybe I should focus more on engineering and try to basically offer people the solution for these kind of technical problems. Because many people are struggling with these things because they just simply never, they're just not there yet, they just never reached that information or level of whatever, but they already write amazing songs, for example. So they are really good songwriters or playing instruments very well or very talented singers or whatever, but they have zero idea about all these things that I was just talking about, which is very common. So this is
you're providing a very
So this is the place I decided to be in this whole thing. That being the person who is in the background, and I just want to make sure that everything is perfect in the end.
So you're a wizard.
So if you give me something that potentially great, but it's a piece of shit, how it sounds and everything is bad, and you just don't understand anything anymore, and you are confused, because every artist is there in the stage, then I will just fix it for you. Basically, this is the idea.
All right. So you're a wizard of sound. That's
I mean, you can say that.
Right, man. Well, probably gonna have to let you go at some point. So I'm gonna ask you my 2 favorite questions to ask towards the end. Right. Okay. So one of them is, you have done a bunch of crazy jobs. You already talked about some of them. What's one of the craziest jobs you've had so far? To pay the bills. So it has to be a paid job, but you've done. It can be in the arts, it can be outside of the arts.
I mean, craziest?
Something that you were like, what the fuck was that?
Well, I don't know. It's really hard to decide. Obviously, I've seen so many things, because if you work in rock and roll all the time, like even though it wasn't about partying for us as a technician, it was.
Yeah, I mean,
but you meet all those people.
You're the non-glitz and glamour part of.
Like this is what I just told you. This story with the Omega. This is one of those stories I just cannot forget, and it still makes me angry, because those people ruined the life of the fucking taxi driver, and they were absolute assholes and jerks, and I've seen it with my own eyes. So not even once. They were always assholes, actually, since the beginning. So they are actually assholes. Like these people are real assholes. So this is, I think, one of the craziest stories, especially this.
Right, okay, fair enough. I mean, it's hot topping that, to be honest. In that case, we're going to gently pivot into the other question. It's about food. Okay. I always love to ask about, you're from Hungary, what's the Hungarian food that people in the UK need to know about, according to you? I should let you know, we've covered turorudi, we've covered bograch.
Bograch is not a food.
Well, it's just not a dish, but it's a style of food.
No.
Right. Oh, the bograch is the pot that you cook it in.
No, I noticed actually that. So Eugene also called it bograch.
Right.
And you also call it bograch.
No, I just heard someone call it bograch. It's bograch guyash, basically, or.
No,
the bograch is the pot.
Bograch is the actual pot.
Yeah.
So in Hungary, no one will call it bograch. They will call it Ferko, for example.
Right,
what's inside the bograch,
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Anyway, so my favorite is definitely, I think, töltött káposzta.
Right, okay. You're allowed to say that. I think someone has mentioned it before, but come on. People need to know about the joys of stuffed cabbage.
Yes.
So what kind of stuffed cabbage are we talking about here? Just the classic, or is it a special?
Yeah, so now, since I'm in Scotland and I have friends from every country in Europe, I realized that this is not a Hungarian thing.
Well, not only, I know Turks do it, and...
This is a very Eastern European thing, so it exists from basically every Eastern European countries, from Poland to Romania.
The Polish call it golumki?
Yeah, they have the...
I don't know how they call sauce. It's a different thing. It's not the same. I'm sorry.
Maybe.
It's a different sauce.
I'm not sure about this.
Ours with sour cream.
We also do it with tomato sauce, actually.
You do what now?
With tomato sauce.
Where?
Back home.
Do you?
You can do it with tomato sauce, yeah.
In Hungary?
Yeah.
I disown you. I do not know. I don't know this man. He's not my people anymore. It's sour cream and nothing else.
No, you can still put sour cream on it, of course.
And tomato sauce?
No, so it's not...
What the fuck is wrong with you?
You cook it with lots of tomato sauce.
I mean, you put some tomato to give it a bit of sour flavor, because, I mean, it's already sour cabbage, potentially, but
yes.
Just to balance out the flavors. But we don't... Where I'm from, we don't cook it with tomato sauce, okay? I'm ready to go to war for this. Right. So, tomato sauce, go on, keep telling me that. Tell me about this stuffed cabbage of yours.
So
I'm
normally
appalled.
it would be actually just the mincemeat,
Right.
and then that is usually pork. I think that's
Pork
the most
and beef,
common.
pork, yeah.
Yeah. And then sour cabbage, so it needs to be sour,
Yeah.
especially
Sauerkraut.
when we are talking about the Sekai version, which is the Transylvanian Hungarian.
Yes.
And
The only version, the real version.
This is also my roots culturally. So in my family, it's also food called Sekai kapusta, which is like Sekai cabbage,
Right.
which is sour cabbage basically.
Yeah.
With lots of smoked, like cured meat, for example.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know. Like koložradi kapusta, something like that.
Yeah. And basically, our stuffed
Stuffed cabbage. Yeah.
is kind of like that. So we quite often use cured meat in it,
Just to give that
that's
extra
for the
smoky flavor. Yes.
Yeah.
No, but that's the thing. Like Eastern Europeans will put bones in a soup to give it flavor.
Exactly, but
That's
it
the
makes
thing.
it so much better.
It does.
Now I know, but so so you just cook the mincemeat with the rice,
Yeah.
but the rice can be totally actually not cooked, not even pre-cooked or whatever. You just put it as raw in the cabbage,
Yeah.
and then you put it in the water, and then just cook it together, already stuffed in the cabbage, or
Yeah.
rolled in the cabbage, and cook it in the water for like an hour or more.
Correct. You're on the path of righteousness. I agree.
And then when it's ready, it just becomes beautiful.
All right. Any dessert that we should know about?
Oh, I'm not a huge fan of sweets, to be honest. I'm not familiar with.
Okay, just
I
tomato
don't really
sauce
eat.
and cabbage.
I
eh?
don't really eat. You know what? I eat custard since I'm in
Okay,
Scotland.
I actually custard grew on me. There you go.
Custard,
There's something I can compliment the
custard,
Brits
I
for.
love custard.
Custard all day.
That is something we don't have at home. I mean, at least you cannot just buy this kind of stuff in
not
every
like
shop.
Yeah.
Even though it's
Big
also
up
a very
custard.
simple stuff, as I understand, it's just cream and vanilla, and that's all.
Should be, yeah. Unless we completely missed the boat, it should be that, yeah.
But I love it. It's so good. I can just eat it with anything.
Well, Ferko, I think we've answered all the basic and important questions. We'll probably have you back at some point and have a longer chat about other stuff as well. But thank you so much.
Thank you.